Thank you. There was a lot that was spoken to, so I'm going to do my best to try to address as much as possible. I think first and foremost, I want to thank you all for organizing, for mobilizing, for participating in participatory democracy. That's the point of this, co-governance, hearing from people on the ground and hearing from the grassroots levels. Somebody said that divestment is just a word. To many, it is. Many of the communities that have passed resolutions have simply done so symbolically. What you saw happen on Friday was not a symbolic message. It was actual divestment from a portfolio that the city council has control over. It was in 2 portfolios, in fact. There were 2 resolutions passed that day. In total, the city has a $700 million fund. Of the $700 million, this council before you controls about 25% of it in 2 different funds. The remaining is controlled by 2 pension boards, largely made up of city employees. The dollars that we speak to, the $700 million, are the dollars that go to securing employees' retiree health care and pensions. Those are the dollars that are largely at play. What happened on Friday was actual divestment from many of the companies that you've spoken to in the most direct way by this council. It wasn't a symbolic resolution, again. And I would bet that we might be the first city in the state to actually accomplish divestment in some capacity. Now, with the pension board, it's a process. We're actually waiting on some financial reports to return in order for them to have the tools at their disposal to make the decision that hopefully they'll come to. And so we're working on it. We've actually been working on this for close to a year. It takes a long time to divest. I wish it was as simple as clicking, buy, sell, and moving on. The language that you saw proposed is the language we provide the managers of the dollars for those specific portfolios, indicating that they are not to permit any dollars into such companies. That's how it works. One of the largest difficulties we have is basically identifying the various lists of companies, which we have been doing for several months. And I think I have a meeting with some of the individuals in this room. I'm not sure who will be attending over the next few days. We have reached out several times before the rally as well. So I'm glad that those communications finally happened. Somebody said that they think Dearborn is not at the forefront. I disagree with that statement. I think if there's anything that's unfolded across this country, I think Dearborn has been at the center of it. There have been over 80 protests across the city of Dearborn over the last year. Not a single arrest, not a single injury, not a single incident, not a single permit. And I know some of you are proud of that, and that's okay. You can protest without permits. I think actually what I told them is, I'm going to issue the permit anyway, just to see how you guys feel about that. This is deeply personal to so many of us on council, as well as myself. The reason the vote happened Friday, let me explain that. It was supposed to happen Thursday. I was actually in Amman, in the Jarash camps where the Ghazans are and the Palestinian refugees are, the post-67 refugees, with the United Nations Relief Work Agency, an agency I worked with 10 years ago, an agency I led a delegation with just last week. This issue is near and dear to me, closer than any other issue. It is a red line issue, which is why we've been working on this for so long, which is why we're thankful for the community support and the work that we're doing, and the consideration of the council who took strong action unanimously, which you don't find in other municipalities. And so among the requests or demands, as you call them, that you have, you're demanding for a symbolic resolution. What I would tell you is the city has gone past the symbolic resolution and actually begun real divestment. That's one. Two, when you talk about language within the charter, the good resident Glenn O'Cray, who's one of our charter commissioners, can tell you about the charter. The charter was just voted down in August. There's been a 2-year process on the charter, so I would encourage you to reach out to a charter commission or a past charter commission. I'm not sure if you've been abolished yet, yes. Glenn, to understand that process, but it comes around every 10 years, or 12 years. Wow. 12, thank you. And that just happened and actually just got filled to renew in August, unfortunately. But I wanted to just echo that all the elected officials hear you. We don't want to do anything symbolically. I actually hate political pundits who just come up and speak words but don't actually do indeed what we're asking for. I think the same thing, you're looking to people who are running for president, more than just rhetoric, you're looking for action. and this council took action on Friday, and we're working with the pension boards. We need a few more financial assessments to come in, and once we have them, God willing, we'll be taking action as well on those boards so that we can execute divestment in the most direct way. And really what we're looking for is adopting a ethical investment portfolio, something that we can all raise our heads high about. That's ultimately what we want to stand for. We want to stand on principle and the values that you all echoed, because they're principles and values that I believe are universal amongst not only Dearborn residents, but people globally. Just as we're not allowed to invest in gun manufacturers, we shouldn't be allowed to invest in weapon manufacturers. It's a very simple statement. It's a very simple value principle. And I wish the federal government would outlaw it just as it has done outlawing on gambling and alcohol and cigarettes. I don't understand that. So fortunately, we have taken the action. Council has begun this step. There are more portfolios in the larger funds, and so you'll see language inserted in multiple spaces versus just one. But just because the language is inserted in every portfolio, it doesn't mean it hasn't been executed across those portfolios. I also want to provide that to you. And so hopefully in a meeting that we do have, we can get into some of the details, because I know there's a lot of numbers floating around. The numbers that you also see aren't the numbers for the city of Dearborn. I also want to share that. The numbers that you have are an aggregate for numerous number of entities, which is why it takes some time to actually dig into the depth of what is the city of Dearborn's and what is not, which is what we've been working on for quite some time again. So again, thank you for participating. Thank you for being here. And hopefully, I mean, I know there's future conversations to be had. And lastly, to Ms. Murtada and to others, my condolences. This is not an easy topic. This is a topic that impacts so many families. We're at funerals just about every other day now, to the ones that we all love because of the bombardment, the genocide, and the ongoing war that seems to be expanding with a lack of accountability from the White House. And so we are more than with you just in word and spirit, and hopefully you recognize that we're with you in deed and action as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.